Imagine sitting with a friend or your therapist. They ask what you did last Tuesday, and you realize there is nothing there. The day has vanished completely. The loss of a single Tuesday is the beginning of a larger erasure. When you look back at the last few months, they don't appear as a sequence of events, but as a gray, indistinguishable flash. Psychologists describe this specific type of collective memory failure as Groundhog Day Syndrome, a state where the mind feels trapped in a loop of total sameness. This psychological crisis is the modern manifestation of a 19th century thought experiment. The philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche called it the eternal return, the terrifying possibility that your life will repeat exactly as it is in an infinite loop for all eternity. Nietzsche used this concept to test if a person truly loved their life. He asked if you could embrace your routine repeating forever. Today, we are no longer treating this as a hypothetical. We are biologically inflicting this repetition upon ourselves. By prioritizing absolute comfort and predictability, we have accidentally built an environmental time loop. We have traded the variety of experience for a safety that effectively deletes our memory of being alive. The idea of a repeating timeline appears in ancient Hindu cosmology and Stoic physics, long before modern psychology. These traditions described a cycle where the universe is periodically destroyed and then reborn identically, over and over. While ancient cultures saw this cycle on a cosmic scale, we experience it through mundane habits. We wake to the same alarm, consume the same media inputs, and follow the same rigid schedules. When you force a biological organism into an environment devoid of surprise or change, the biological hardware of the brain begins to adapt to that lack of input. The biological fallout of an identical schedule goes deeper than boredom. Monotony physically rewrites our internal perception of time. Physical clock time and subjective mind time are two distinct systems. The clock ticks at a constant rate, but the speed at which you perceive those seconds is a biological variable. During adulthood, the neural architecture in our brains undergoes a structural expansion. Our networks of neurons grow in both scale and complexity as we accumulate years of data. Because the networks are larger, electrical signals must travel greater distances. This physical distance slows down the rate of signal processing. This chart shows the result. The brain's frame rate drops. An aging brain processes fewer visual images per second than a child's. Imagine a flipbook. A child's book is packed with thousands of drawings, making the story feel long and detailed. An adult's book is missing half the pages. You flick through it, and the story is over in an instant. We then add a behavioral multiplier to this biology. When we live on autopilot, the brain stops recording. Without new inputs, we fail to create memories that act as temporal bookmarks. While biological aging naturally accelerates our internal clock, our addiction to routine deletes the few frames of experience we have left. Clinical studies have recently measured this effect, tracking the association between strict daily routinization and the cognitive resources of older adults. The data revealed a specific casualty. Participants who maintained the highest levels of routine showed a direct degradation in their cognitive flexibility. Cognitive flexibility is the executive function to divide attention and process new information. It allows you to solve problems and navigate the unknown. If you navigate the exact same environment every day, the brain seeks efficiency. It conserves energy by pruning away the neural pathways required for adaptation because they are no longer being used. The brain's attempt to be efficient through routine ultimately makes it rigid. We become physically less capable of processing novelty. Breaking this cycle requires pushing the brain into a state of environmental complexity. Engaging in novel activities disrupts the brain's autopilot. It forces the mind to expend energy on real-time problem-solving, rather than relying on established habits. Actions like overlearning a new skill or navigating complex social dynamics act as a buffer. They keep the neural pathways for adaptation active, shielding the brain against decline. Preserving the mind doesn't require extreme risk. It simply requires abandoning the highly predictable path for one that is unfamiliar. This environmental unpredictability forces the brain to capture a high density of visual frames, which creates a detailed record of the day that artificially stretches our subjective experience of time. We cannot stop the physical aging of our neurons or the ticking of the clock. But deliberately rebelling against routine is the only way to preserve our cognitive agility and reclaim the time we have left.